All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Vogel. I'm the director of IAHP and digital programming at the Upledger Institute. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us here for another segment of In Touch. Today, I'm really excited. I think we have a really fun topic. It'll be craniosacral therapy for pediatrics, connecting with your own inner child with Rob Fournier. I'm going to get us started here, tell you a little bit about the In Touch series, and then we'll hand it right over to Rob to get us moving through our segment. Just so everyone knows, this will be capped at 1 hour. That's usually we'll try to finish as close to 8 p.m. Eastern as possible. We did get a minute or two slow on the start, so either way, we can plan for about an hour. If you can excuse me just a minute, we still have some showing up in our Zoom room. Some of you may be joining us from Facebook, which is terrific if you are as well. Keep in mind that every In Touch segment is streamed live to Facebook, and that'll be posted. It's a post on our Facebook page that you can watch at any time. That's whether or not you are a Facebook member. You can always log in and you can always review the videos, or you can always go to the page and view the videos, whether you have a login or not. So a little bit about the In Touch series. It's a series of virtual presentations by our teachers, developers from each of the institutes. We've had quite a few segments. If you missed them in the past, again, you can go to the Facebook page, check those out. So the idea is to stay in touch with the latest information pertaining to manual therapies, not just craniosacral therapy necessarily or visceral manipulation, but in most cases, how our different disciplines work in the manual therapy community and current events with all of that. So enhance your health and the health of your clients. Keep in mind, this is open to all. So there may be lay people in here, and then many of you, I'm sure, are therapists as well. Hopefully you've trained with us. And if not, we would love to see you in the future for that as well. Now, each In Touch presentation, I just like to let you know, has its own unique Zoom code. So each time you're looking to join a segment, you'll want to go to the web page, or if you're receiving emails from us, you can register there. But each Zoom has its own unique code for each In Touch segment. So a little bit of the rules here, the housekeeping. So while Rob is sharing, please make sure you stop your video. We have a nice group of people here within the Zoom. All participants will be muted. We don't need any distractions for Rob during the presentation. And please do not use the raise hand feature at this time. Still emitting a few more ends, so thanks for bearing with me here. Now, Q&A. If time permits, we will have a Q&A at the end. You'll be able to ask a few questions. Please use the Zoom raise hand feature for questions. That's on the toolbar for you. It should be under reactions. If you can't find a reactions tab, then under more, click more, and then you'll hopefully find a reactions tab. So the raise hand feature will be how we operate, and I will call on the questions in the order that I receive them. Again, I want you to keep in mind that it is as time permits. So hopefully we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end, but if we don't, then that will be skipped. All right, so before I hand it over, I'd like to introduce you to Rob. Rob is a pediatric occupational therapist with over 24 years of experience and 16 years practicing craniosacral therapy. Rob is currently on the apprenticeship program to teach Craniosacral 1, CS1, and Somato-Emotional Release, mastering the inner physician for the Upledger Institute. Rob has a specialty certification in sensory integration and is the author of 2 books. In his spare time, you can find Rob on the beach or swimming in the ocean. All right, so let me just admit the last people here. And again, I appreciate everyone for being with us, and we're going to hand it right over to Rob. Thank you so much, Rob, for presenting, and you can take it away.
Okay. Oops, sorry, a little message though. I'll mute myself. Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Very good.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody to CST for Pediatrics, connecting with your inner child. Thank you, Justin, for the beautiful introduction. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen here. Thanks for everybody joining us.
Yeah, I see quite a few in the chat letting us know where they're from. Pretty cool to see people from all over the place.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep, very good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, so connecting with your inner child. So as you see there in the little picture, there's a picture of me. That's my little inner child, taken when I was a little kid. And I got the nickname of a little professor because I had my little suit coat and my little jacket over my shoulder. So that's what we're going to be talking about, connecting with your own inner child through cranial and just this will be like a thought-provoking questions and ways to connect with your inner child. And as we start, I want to give thanks and gratitude to a few people. First one, Dr. John Upledger, because he's the creator of the foundation of CranioSacral Therapy, which makes all this possible. And then the two ombudsperson and two of my mentors, deep mentors that I give great appreciation for. One, Rebecca Flowers. She is the ombudsperson for PEDS 1 and PEDS 2, and she developed the curriculum. And I have the pleasure of working with her at the Upledger Clinic. And we co-treat, and it's such a beautiful to be able to work with her. And Carol McClellan, she's another one. She's the buzz person for conception, pregnancy, and birth, and just created a new class called the Matrix. So both beautiful people, which makes this presentation possible today. So I want to give gratitude to them as we begin our presentation. So this is just a little bit of an overview. We're going to be talking for about 30 to 40 minutes roughly, and then we'll hopefully have time for question and answer. So we're going to talk about it starts at conception, going through your own birth process, connecting with your inner child, rewriting your story in a loving and supportive way, how to nurture your inner child through play, and then just an overview of the pediatric curriculum. So we're going to go through each one of these in detail, just as the thought-provoking questions and some things that may get you thinking. So here, as you're going to see, I have a lot of photos throughout my presentation. So that's me connecting with my inner child, because this is supposed to be fun and playful. When your inner child's in there and free to play, it's being silly. So this is what it was at the Rock and Gem Mineral Show in Boulder, Colorado, or Denver, Colorado. So there I got my angel wings. So just taking silly photos and just having fun with yourself is one way to connect with your inner child. So let's start off. It starts at conception. And this is actually, so we talked about Carol's new class, The Matrix, as well. She's going to be presenting at Beyond the Dura. So for those of you that don't know or haven't signed up yet, Beyond the Dura is in April. And it has a lot of great speakers, and Carol's actually going to be talking about finding our placenta in history, and how that can change our future. So let's start at conception. So the point of conception is our parents' relationship. What was happening with our parents at the time of our conception? Was our parents fighting? Were they in love? Were they drunk and came home and had sex? It's just, what was their relationship at the time of conception? And we bring that up because that's what the baby is experiencing, because that's at the point, that's when you start, the soul comes in. And so, what was your parents' relationship at the time of your own conception? This will connect with your own inner child. Another one is the space of the womb prior to you. So what does that mean? Where do you fall in the order? Are you the firstborn, the secondborn, thirdborn, fourthborn? I'm actually number 6. So I have 3 older sisters that are alive, and then me. But then my mom actually had 2 births prior to having the 4 of us. The first one, she had a miscarriage. And then the second one was a boy, and he died at 3 months. So by the time I answered, I was number 6 in the womb. So that was my energy of my conception. And then like I said, the second born was a boy. He died at 3 months. And so they had the fear of, we're having another boy, and he may pass away. So that was the energy of the womb that I was experiencing from an inner child perspective. So these are, again, this whole presentation is about having fun and just maybe thought-provoking, maybe to entice maybe some questions in your mind and start thinking about, see what comes up for you. As Dr. John had said in this work, is we're following and listening to that inner wisdom of the body. And that's the part of the body that knows, the wisdom that knows. So during a session, this is what would come up. Sometimes people might say, people be like, how do I know? I don't remember being inside the womb. And that's a great question, but your body does. That's what Dr. John called our inner physician or inner wisdom. That inner physician within our body knows that. And then the other one is the 9-month journey, going through each stage of development within the womb. So what was going on at that time? What was happening with mom? What was happening with dad? What was the life situation? I just had a client actually last week and seeing her and her baby, and she was going through a lot of stressors. She had lost her job, she had lost her place of living, and so that was, what as she was sharing that story, we were working with her and her baby together after he was born, but that was going back to the 9-month journey of her child's birth. So all those affects our inner child. So you can just take a moment right now. If you just take a moment and think, what was those? How did these have an impact on you right now? What was your parents' relationship? What was the space of the womb prior to you coming? And then what was your 9-month journey like? Just allowing yourself to feel that within. So after this, this is me, my inner child. I told you there's lots of pictures in here. This is actually inside my treatment room. I work with pediatrics and adults. And this is one of the dinosaurs. If you turn him on, he goes, rawr. So that's me making the rawr face. Again, just being silly and having fun. Yes, we're adults and we all put on the silly hat all the time, or if we're at work and doing other things. I'm lucky because I get to work with kids and adults, and like this, I get to do this every day. So I get to go and play with balls and squishy bubbles, all that. So it's just a reminder in between just to have fun and be silly. So going through your own birth process. So now that we went back from conception, now we're going to go through the birth process. So what does it feel like from the baby's perspective, going through the birth process? Was it a natural delivery? Was there a C-section delivery? And what was that? Because right now, as an adult, I'm 47. So when I'm going through my own birth process, tongue tie there, that I felt it from a 47-year-old perspective, like, oh yeah, I could see this and analyze this, but the baby's perspective has a very different perspective. So that's why we take into account, what would the baby be feeling, and looking at it from their perspective. Again, so mine, talking to the baby directly, conscious communication. So this is the huge thing right now. Conscious communication is actually talking directly to the baby. We talked about inner wisdom and inner physician, is understanding that the baby understands everything. The baby is, has its own consciousness and understanding. So being able to talk to the baby, so if the baby is coming out through a C-section, or it has to be a C-section, saying, oh, it looks like you're stuck in the canal. We need to have a C-section. Just allowing the baby that awareness and understanding. I know sometimes it's emergency C-section and you don't have that opportunity. Or if the baby's stuck, saying, oh, it sounds like you're stuck. Just as like if you would be talking, just like we're having a conversation right now, you do the same thing during that birth process. The last one is traumatic birth versus miraculous birth. That's actually my story. So I'll share a little bit about my story. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, with me being number 6. My mom was at her 6-month checkup, and during that, they noticed I was under distress. And so they rushed her in for emergency C-section. And during that time, I had died 3 times. And so that during that process, nobody was talking to me directly. So when I was able to experience my own birth process through the pediatric classes, as well as through my own cranial experiences on the table, that's what I wanted. I just wanted someone to say, what's going on? I felt all this energy, like all this craziness going on, but nobody was talking to me, the baby. As soon as I was able to express that, and someone was able to say, wow, Rob, this is what's happening. Mom's under, need to get you out. You're having some medical issues. Wow, my nervous system just dropped and relaxed. So because then I understood, they talked to me. I had an understanding of what was happening. So during one of my classes, I always said, wow, I said he had such a traumatic birth, had to have this emergency C-section and died. And then what I realized is traumatic. And I work with a lot of kids that have been through different, birth processes and things, and the parents will use that word traumatic. Oh, my kid has such a traumatic birth. And for me, in my process, what I used is, wow, I shifted that from, instead of a traumatic birth, a miraculous birth. Yeah, I went through some trauma, but wow, I survived. Here I am, and I'm surviving and thriving. So just shifting that word and that perspective for me helps me in my process. And I share that with parents, and they're like, wow. So then it sometimes shifts that perspective for them in their relationship with their own child. You're like, wow, yeah, my child that was miraculous what they went through. So then when we feel the baby's perspective and we're able to have that direct conversation, it helps that inner child within us feel safe. That's what a lot of our inner child and our baby wants to feel safe and loved. This one is bumper car fun laughter. This is, I thought, a great opportunity to travel the world with a backpack. And this was actually in Peru, nonetheless. And we were on bumper cars zipping around having fun. So again, yeah, as adults, get out there, have fun, play, be silly. So yeah, when you're inner children, when you're doing all this work with our inner child, we still have fun and play with bumper cars. So connecting with your inner child. So again, so not only do you connect with all ages of development while in utero, it's connecting with all ages of development as going from a toddler, from a newborn 0 to 3, infant, then to a toddler, then to a younger kid, to a teenager, connecting with all ages of development, because every age of development, maybe there was something different that inner child needed. We just talked a lot about conception and pregnancy and that birth process and all those things, those questions that maybe that little inner child in each one of us may need, being able to talk with that conscious communication. And then, talking it like, again, because each age of development, going from birth all the way to however old we are now, again, we have a different perspective. That 3-year-old, sometimes, you get maybe a parent yelled at you or something, and then you're like, oh, I'm never going to talk to my parents again. And then 30 minutes later, you're out talking to them because you don't hold on to that. So connecting out at all ages of development of your inner child and see what they need. Providing your inner child what they do need. Yelling, laughter, crying. This is a good one because sometimes maybe our inner child never had the opportunity to yell or laugh or cry. I know I heard a lot, well, when you started crying, I'll give you something to cry about. That was the very common term, 20, 30 years ago. So yeah, so being able to, say, no, it's okay to cry. It's safe to cry. It's safe to laugh and have fun, or yell. Working with another client, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago, and her inner child came up in a session, and she was a single mom, and a single parent. And so as a kid, she was home and had to do a lot of things. She took on a lot of adult responsibility. So she said, my inner child never had that opportunity to play and never really had the time to laugh and cry and yell and do all that stuff because I was trying to help mom out. I was trying to make it easier from her. So from that, again, looking at it from that kid's perspective, from that 5-year-old, from that 7-year-old, she just wanted to help her mom out. So, asking those questions of seeing what does her inner child need? And her child wanted, to be able to, instead of having to cook a meal or do laundry, she wanted to be able to, play outside. So allowing her inner child to be able to do that. So we're actually going to do that right now. I know you're all on mute, but you can hear me because sometimes the biggest thing is allowing ourselves to yell. Giving ourselves the permission to oh, I can't do that. Someone's going to hear me. It's too loud. And maybe, I don't know what it is in your environment now, but I'm going to do it. And if you want to join me, go ahead. And we're all just going to, just be saying yelling can be fun. I do it actually on the way to work, on the way home from work, blare the radio, and I yell. So I'm just going to count down from 5 and we're all just going to let out a big yell. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! Ah! Yes, I see some mouse yelling. So it's just fun. It doesn't have to be, oh, that's so serious, I'm yelling. No, it can be fun. And actually letting that little inner child and even the adult in us, yell. Like I said, I do it in the car. Or singing in the car. seeing and sharing perspectives from all sides, the child, the current you, the parents, and the family. Like we had talked about earlier, the client 2 weeks ago, her feeling like she had to take over the responsibility of cooking and cleaning and helping mom out. That was her perspective. And then mom, like she was trying her perspective. So having that inner child look at, what is your mom's perspective? If, what do you think was going on for her at that moment, or him, or whatever parent was there? And then the current you. So the little baby perspective has one perspective, then the adult has another perspective. And you're like, oh, I can understand, why I did that and my mom did that, but maybe the little you didn't understand that, because we have much more wisdom now than we did back then. So, it's like sitting on a park bench. My little kid's here. Remember that little picture of my little kid in the first one? I'm putting him right here next to me in a park bench, and we're having a conversation, just like we're having a conversation now. And I'm sharing perspectives from him, like, oh, I see it now, 47 years later, and I'm, going to share with you at 5 or 6. So then you can both share perspectives so you have a better understanding of maybe what was happening at that moment, which then understanding leads to more compassion, forgiveness, and allowing that inner child to be more free and playful. There's me going down a slide. I love slides. Playing at the park, going on swings, going down slides. You're never too old to go to the park and have fun. So rewriting your story in a loving, supportive way. So if anything should happen, always you could give the opportunity of our inner child to rewrite your story in a loving and supportive way. What does that mean? You can parent your inner child the way you wanted it to be. I talked about having my little 5-year-old next to me and saying, oh, what do you need? He needed a hug. He needed to be able to say, okay, it's okay to cry. And just giving him that permission. Because some people are like, I don't know, I can't see my mom or dad doing that. That's okay. And maybe they couldn't. Maybe you can't imagine that. How about, would it be open if you could do that? Would your adult self be able to go back and sit with your little inner kid and listen to that little kid? What does that little kid need? Sit and be with your inner child. So sometimes just sitting, like sitting on a park bench, or like sitting at a park, sitting on, most kids don't sit on a park bench, but I guess maybe throwing a blanket on the grass and sitting on a grass, sitting at the beach. I live on the beach. So yeah, sitting on the beach with your inner child. Or some people like go for hikes in the mountains, go playing in the snow. Just sitting and being with your inner child. It gives them that permission to feel safe. When your inner child is free to be, it allows the current you to be free to be, the current you. So when that inner child, maybe it didn't feel safe at 5 or 7, maybe something was going on, or felt scared, or whatever the case may be. So by you sitting with them, being able to parent them and give them what they need, then it gives them the permission to free. I see it all the time when someone goes back and they sit with their inner child, they're like, wow, now my inner kid can play. You can play again. Give you another example. A client 3 days ago was just connecting back, and she's she's like, I didn't feel love as a child, unconditional love. The relationship with my parents was kind of tumultuous, and I didn't feel that love. So she was just sitting there with her inner child. They were actually outside on the grass, and she was just sitting with her inner child. Then all of a sudden she looked up and saw a tree. And she's like, oh my gosh, this was the tree outside my parents' house. I love this tree. She's like, I love the tree. Whoa. She's like, I felt unconditional love. She's like, I never thought, her little kid's like, I never felt unconditional love. And then she's like, all of a sudden remembered, with this tree, I felt unconditional love for this tree. And then she remembered an imaginary friend she had. And she's like, wow, I had unconditional love for that imaginary friend. So then all of a sudden she remembered she actually felt unconditional love, and she remembered what it felt like at that time. So then she was able to work with that within her session. So that there gives you another example of thought, just to see, what would you do if you, had to rewrite your story with your inner child? What would you give your inner child? Or I guess, where would you sit? Let's start even simple. Where would you be with your inner child? Where's a good place that I like nature. So, it could be on the beach, in the mountains, and just, sitting with an inner child, giving them a hug or whatever they may want, playing a toy. There's me at the park. I saw a big turtle. It was a big turtle statue. And I'm like, oh, I want to sit on the turtle. And I disclaimer here, there was no sign saying you can't sit on the turtle. So, so yes, I heard it jumped on the turtle and was connecting, playing, just being silly. So yeah, it's even at the park, or this one was like a butterfly animal, like botanical garden kind of thing. Yeah. And some people may give you silly looks, but what happens though is by you doing this, then it gives other people the permission to say, oh, wow, look at him. He's connecting with his inner child, or, being silly and playful. It gives them permission. You see a lightness and a brightness of them being able to connect with their inner child. So how to nurture your inner child through play. So we talked about this. So we're talking about all this, how to get to this, working with your inner child. Was your inner child able to play? Some kids were not able to play. They had chores to do, or it was just a different situation for them. So these are some good questions to start, think about for yourself. Was your inner child able to play? And if they weren't, can you give them permission right now to play? Would that be okay with the adult self? Because sometimes that's all they need. Being able to give them permission to play right now. And then if they are, we're always waiting for an answer. We're talking to our little kid. And if they say, yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that permission to play. And then what would it feel like if you're able to play at that age and play freely? So you're asking the permission to see if, was it okay to play? And then what does that feel inside of you? What does that feel like? Because with CranioSacral Therapy and everything, we want to see what it feels like in our body, what it feels like in our tissue. And then what did you enjoy playing that brought you a smile? Because sometimes people, our mind sometimes will have a tendency to remember, not always the good memories, so we remember both. So we wanted to see what you enjoy playing that brought you a smile. I like playing, it was like love making mud pies. I don't know why, but like, just in the sandbox with water and just, playing, making these little mud pies. And then, probably we're serving to each other. Enjoy playing school, playing in the sandbox, all that kind of stuff, swimming. So yeah, just thinking of that. What did you enjoy? And something maybe like, I can't think of anything. And then you think, what would your inner child like to play with? If you gave them permission right now, right here in this moment, what would they be able to like to play with? And then can you give them permission while you're sitting there to play with that activity together? The adult you and the little kid you. And then you can bring in whoever else you want. You can bring in your mom at the time, dad, friends. Some people have spirit guides, angels, all kinds of things, whatever is open for you, because each person has a different support network. So we want to honor that and bring that in for you. So how do you nurture your inner child through play? Here's some fun ways that we can do. This is not an all-inclusive list, by the way. The first one is drawing, coloring, and imagination. Imagination is big. You think about kids, they have huge imaginations. I'm a fireman, I'm a nurse, I'm a firefighter, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an astronaut. They have huge imaginations. So allowing that adult you to ignite that imagination again. Sometimes, that imagination can get ignited through drawing, through coloring, dancing around the house. This is the fun one. I do this one on a pretty regular basis. Turning the music up really loud, or dancing around the house to your favorite songs, and just having fun. Making daily chores fun. Two chores that I'm not a big fan of is cleaning, like cleaning the bathrooms and vacuum and all that. It's a chore. But one way to make a chore. So again, it's a choice. I'm like, wow, okay, I'm not a big fan of, cleaning the bathrooms or that, but how can I make it fun? I can turn on some music. I can make it fun. So that's what I do. I rock out when I'm vacuuming the floor and cleaning the toilets. Maybe putting on a silly face, screaming like we just did earlier. Yeah, so there's other ways of doing that, of making daily chores fun, doing one and then drawing a picture. There's just, yeah, mixing it up, saying, and then changing our mindset. It doesn't always have to be a chore. Chores can be fun. I love this next one. It's one of my favorites. I love to do it as a kid, and I still like to do it as an adult. But I don't even know if as an adult, we're just big kids. Watching the clouds and discovering pictures. Super easy one. Laying on the grass. I lay on the beach, either anywhere, and watching the clouds go by. Clouds are all, puffy, and you can just see, what pictures do you see? Sometimes you may see a ship passing by, or a bird, or a heart, a smiley face. There's all kinds of fun things that you can discover in the clouds, because here you're using your imagination. It's simple, it's free, and you're using your imagination. And you can do it with anybody. You can do it by yourself, and you can do it with friends or your kids. Play at the park. You saw me coming down the slide, having fun. Swings. The parks are always fun because it brings out that inner child. Nurturing that inner child, allowing that inner child to come out and play again, to play at the park and have fun. Taking silly pictures. As you see throughout this whole presentation, I have quite a few silly pictures. I had to laugh because my nephew got married a few years back, and he gave me a book, and one of the books was Rob's selfie book around the world. So I traveled around the world with a backpack, and I took quite a few selfies, but silly photos like that. And again, it's funny because as I was taking those silly photos and selfies, then people are like, oh my God, then they want to come over and they want to take pictures, and can you take my picture? And it adds into this whole thing, and you can see them light up, and you can see their inner child coming out and having fun. So silly pictures are great. In the car, screaming loudly. Talked about that one. Growling. That's another fun one. And rocking out to music. So a good story with this one. On the way to work today, I only have like a 9-minute drive to work, so I'm very lucky in that respect. But I don't know if you guys know the song, but Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics came on. Sweet dreams are made of these, who are the mind to disagree. Yeah, I'm not the best singer, but having fun with that. I was rocking out. I had cranked up the music, and I was just singing out to Sweet Dreams on the way to work. And I can looked over at the cars next to me, and the cars, they were like this. They were all, because we were stopped at a red light, they were all on their phone. And I was singing loudly to Sweet Dreams. But when I got to work, I had a smile on my face, and I was feeling great. So being able to rock out to music. Sometimes the next day, if I do that on the way home in the evening, and then the next day I get in and I'm like, wow, I was really rocking out, really, really having fun. And growling, like, making any kind of silly noises and sounds. And just doing that, sometimes it kind of even changes the energy. If someone even walks by and you go, or just make a sound, but in a playful way, you'll actually see them laugh. And yeah, again, we're just allowing that, because that's what little kids do. They growl, they make faces, they rock out, they put on dance shows. If you think, so yeah, so allowing us, our big kid, to do that. Making a sandcastle or snowman. I'm originally from Michigan. So yeah, so I used to love making snowmans, snow angels, but now I live in Florida, so there's no snow, but I still can make sand angels. You go to the sand and make sand angels. So it's fun to do that. Have a sensory box with squeeze balls. Those squeeze balls they sell at the Dollar Tree, Target, anything like that. Bubbles and fidgets. Bubbles is a fun one. If anybody works in like cubicles or even offices, having bubbles and blowing bubbles is like people walk by. Because every time you see, at least for me, when I see bubbles come by, it brings a smile and I just want to pop them. So yeah, those are always fun things to have, is having a little fidget box. And when you do that, when I bring out, I have a whole box at work for the kids, but I bring them out for some of the coworkers too. And it's so fun to watch them come out. They're like, I want the yellow one. I want the purple one. You can just see their whole little kid comes out. They all want to start squeezing the balls and stretching them and blowing bubbles. And yeah, there's just, when you have a box like that in your office, you're allowing everybody just to be silly and free. Smile and laughter. It can be easy and fun. It can be easy and fun just to smile and laugh. And this, like, again, this is just a short list. I'm sure we can come up with 100 more ideas of ways to nurture your inner child and have fun. And I just wanted to give you some ideas again throughout this presentation, just to give you some thought-provoking ways of how to work with your inner child, and then just ways you can play. So we talked about yard work, how yard work can be fun. This is in Michigan, because you see Florida doesn't have leaves like that. But yes, in Michigan, I had a big tree in my backyard, and one of the chores was raking leaves. But remember, as a kid, you make a pile of leaves and jump in them. So I jumped in them and I buried myself. So who's to say, I think it was about 6 years ago, so it was 41. 41, I'm still burying myself in leaves. Some people are like, oh, I'm too old, I can't do that. So here's giving that permission. We had talked about that. Can we give ourselves permission? Just permission, just even once a day, once a week, just connecting with our inner child and being silly, having fun, making yard work fun. Here's another one. You can probably see this was at one of the parks. This is one of my dear friends, Ronnie, and her family. Got to meet them there. This is on the Cars ride. So yeah, I got the hands up, and you can see everybody's inner child going through a little bit different experience on this ride. Some people are like, some people are screaming, yelling, but having fun, just being silly again, being on parks like that, nurturing our inner child. So here, I love this one here. This again is another one. I think I was probably maybe 3 at this time. Yeah, I love my little inner child coming out again there. And then the other one is, I told you I live on the beach, a rainbow coming out. It's just a fun, it made me smile because I was out there seeing, you can see in those clouds, what can we see? Talked about picturing the clouds. I'm like, what can I see in those clouds? Kind of see a hat. Trying to see a little bit of a whale. I see a whale on its side with its fin kind of flapping up. So yeah, everybody would see something different in the pictures. Now all I see is a whale. But yeah, checking out the clouds and seeing what you see in the clouds. So this is, we're going to take questions in a minute. Oops, sorry there. Here's the last one at the Denver Rock and Mineral Show. I had white wings earlier, and now I have purple wings. Taking silly pictures, having fun. And then here, before we take questions, I want to say thank you. But then also, I just wanted to give you my email address. So if you guys have any questions, post this. This is a way to reach out to me with any questions as well.
All right, terrific job, Rob.
Enjoy. I'll stop share.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
Okay.
I myself have been able to take advantage of the swings at the park. I have a little boy, so we go over to the park. I noticed I'm not nearly as courageous with jumping off the swing while you're going. You know how you get going and then you would jump off when you're a kid?
Yes.
I don't have that courage as I used to, but maybe I'll work on it. I don't know. I can't have an injury. All right.
But you made it on the swing with your son, so.
Oh yeah, and it is a blast. Awesome. That was terrific, Rob. Now we do have time, so it looks like Lauren has their hand raised. Lauren, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to unmute, and you can ask your question.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I'm also a pediatric OT, and I'm trained in sensory integration. I'm actually treating an adult with autism right now who feels like she does not have an inner child. She has not been able to connect at all. So my question is, how do you approach someone that feels like they just do not connect whatsoever with an inner child?
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit. So one way is just to ask some of those questions is, seeing, what brings her joy? Was there anything as a kid that, that she found joyful playing or doing? And then can she give herself permission to connect with, the possibility of it?
Sure.
Are you open to the possibility? and then maybe what her little inner child may need. If I were to connect with an inner child, what would that feel like, or what would that be like? If she, since she said she doesn't feel like she has one, well, if you did, what would that feel like? Or what would you guys do together?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Great question, Lauren. Thank you. Sharon, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi there. I just wanted to say thank you, and I feel happier and more playful just listening to you and all those amazing ideas. And my inner child gets to come and play when I go on my bike and I'm near nature, and I get really silly out there and people smile. And so thank you for all these other reminders of all the other ways we can do this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I love, thank you for sharing your examples too about riding your bike. Because like you said, as you're out riding your bike with a smile, other people see that. And what you do is then you're giving other people that permission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Terrific. Karen.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
That was a great presentation. You sped that through so we could have Q&A. Awesome. Unless that's the way you've talked very fast. Really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. So what do you do when you're working with nonverbal children, people on the kids on the spectrum?
Yeah.
And you're communicating energetically, of course, but I mean, and then all of a sudden one of them actually said something. They're supposed to be on the nonverbal spectrum. So what else is possible? I wonder how else we can, get them to communicate in ways that we can understand.
Yeah, so it goes back to that conscious communication. It is that understanding that even from babies, all abilities, and everybody has the conscious communication. So communicating with them and asking them the same questions that we would ask anybody, and having those toys available and seeing what they seek out. That's why I have like a sensory box, and I have different toys, and I give them choices and see what they prefer and what they seek out. And then I talk to them and give every child the same opportunity. Even if they're verbal or nonverbal, same thing. I'm working with a baby and the mom. I have the mom share their birth history, and if I feel something with the baby, I'm like, oh wow, I could see, wow, that I feel that in your body as mom's talking about that. How's that feeling in your body? So that's where the conscious communication, you're talking to them. Yeah, a newborn has a different voice, communicates through crying in different ways, but still talking to that baby like I'm talking to you right now.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. Maria.
Hi, Rob. Thank you for that presentation. It really got me thinking. I had a question regarding your experience working with moms who, well, I've had a mom recently who's come to me who is suffering from postpartum depression. And she actually brought her baby to me to treat. And in your experience, have you seen any correlation, although of course we're not therapists, but with women who suffer from postpartum depression with their sort of maybe family history without being able to connect with that inner child?
Okay. So your question is there like a history in the with postpartum? It definitely could be a possibility. That's when we kind of go back. The first slide was connecting to that womb space. And even Carol's new presentation, Carol's going to be talking at Beyond the Dura on finding our place or placenta in history and how can that change over, how that can change our future. So she's doing amazing research with that. So yes, there can be, when you're in the womb, connecting to that family lineage. So it could possibly be with that. That is definitely, I have worked with clients with that, if they're experiencing that and saying, is that the first time they experience it? And some, no, it like feels like this has been around for a long time. I'm like, okay, well, how long? How long has that been around? And some people can actually trace it back several generations. And then seeing what that last, or the generations, what those generations needed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Terrific. Looks like Lisa, let me just get over to you. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oops.
Yeah, let me,
Unmute. I'm not very savvy on the technology. Can you hear me okay?
yep, you're great.
Thank you, Rob. That was a really fun presentation. I resonated with it on so many levels, and I'm really interested in the future use for me of craniosacral therapy with children. And I don't know, maybe this is more of a question for Justin, but I noticed because I'm mapping out my future trainings, are there plans to offer CSP 1 and 2 in the near future? I'm not seeing that on the schedule, so maybe this isn't the right forum for that, but I'm just curious about that.
Hey, Rob, do you mind? I can. Lisa, I'm going to mention the schedule for PEDS 1 before CSP 1 before we conclude here. And then also I'm going to put my email in the chat for anybody. I am more than happy to help anytime I can. So feel free to jot down my email. If I don't get
Awesome.
what you need here before we conclude, then just email me and we'll work together, Lisa.
Sounds great. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I do have that. Definitely prompted something for me. So thank you for that question. Is yes, because there's some people out there that are therapists as well as non-therapists. And some people, I get the question all the time, why would I take the pediatric classes if I don't work with kids? So that's what this whole presentation has been a little bit around, is to help, yes, taking the pediatric classes definitely helps if you have a pediatric population that you work with, but then also I work with kids and adults, and most of the adults, since I do have such a heavily pediatric background and experience, a lot of my adults on the table will go back through the birth process, or they'll go back and connect with their inner child. So even
interesting.
if you don't work with pediatrics directly, the pediatric courses are, oh my God, they're just life-changing, in my opinion, because even if you work with adults, all adults, we all have a little inner child. We all, in order to get here, we all have a little inner child. We all went through a birth process. And not only that, you get to go through your own. So you get to, unlock and, really get, dive deep and see. So yeah, so even if you don't work with peds or never have even, it's like, I never want to work with kids. I only want to work with adults. This still, it helps you in your process, and it helps your future clients to be able to connect with any age of their own development as well as you get to connect with your own. So thank you for that. It was a reminder. I thought about that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Terrific. Yeah, Rob, we had talked about that. So I'm so glad that came to mind for you here. Thanks, Lisa. All right. Bethany will be the last question, and then we'll go over a few last things, and I'll ask Rob if he has any closing idea or thoughts. We should be right on time here. Go ahead, Bethany.
So I just started taking the pediatric courses, and most of my babies have never cried, but I just did a new session that the baby was crying a lot for releases. And how do you explain that to the parent? Because the parent, I feel like I over explain, and then I don't know if the parent thinks I'm crazy. Because
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question. So our question was, yeah, how do you explain that to the parents about crying? So a lot of that is education, adults or kids, either a mom with kid or kids I'm working with, or a brand new adult that comes in for a session. I always do client education, talk about them, how craniosacral is a light touch approach, works directly with the nervous, the brain and the spinal cord, and to the two ends of the spectrum. And I talk about releases, what those releases might be through heat. They might feel heat. They might feel softening or lengthening of the tissue. They might feel emotion may come up. And one of those emotions might be laughter or crying. And I kind of explain it to the family as our body is a hard drive, like a computer program, and it stores memories from birth until present. So as we go through this, some memories may come up for you. And that's where we talked about the inner wisdom or inner physician of the body. It brings it up naturally. And if it brings it up naturally, then that's how we work with it. But yeah, that's how I explain it to a parent of just in the beginning, just doing client education of saying what a release may look like. And as the baby is crying or responding, I just say, yep, this is a release. And I even, ask the parents, because they know the different cries of what, because some cries may be, I'm hungry, or I need a diaper change. And if parents are like, don't be either one of those, then yes, it's definitely could be a release of what's happening. And, through the client education, I could say, yeah, that release could be part of their birth process or what they're going through as we release different tensions in the body. This is how the baby's expressing it.
Okay. And then for like kind of question, like how do you, like if you feel the parent needs a craniosacral session, how do you go about, like if they just first come to you just for their child, how do you get them to like book a session for themselves if you feel like that would benefit the child?
Yeah, a lot of the kids that I work with, especially the babies, the young ones, I treat the parents and the child together. So the baby sitting on mom, or they both climb on the table together. So then, because parents, and as we looked at as through this whole presentation, inner child is definitely, you're connected with your mom and dad. And what's going on with mom and dad is sometimes usually what's happening with baby. You'll see the same patterns. So yeah, if they're open to it, I explain that to them and invite them to lay on the table and have their child laying on them. Or if they're sitting holding their child, I work with them in the chair.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you for the presentation. And then I did have a question for probably Justin. When will, like, I know you might have answered this, but I've been wanting to take a CS2 course and I haven't seen any listed.
Okay, so I won't get into too many
Or not
questions.
CS2, but CS2, I mean.
Oh, well, just please email me, just because if we get I don't have the PEDS 2 listed, but I am going to go over a few things. If anybody has anything regarding that, I'm very happy if you send me an email. It's my first name, justin.vogel@iaahe.com. And I can
Awesome.
definitely help you, Bethany. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Rob. Now we do have one question in the chat. Maybe they, for whatever reason, it's in the chat, and we have one. And let's see if the question is the communication with the inner child out loud?
Yes, it doesn't have to be, but it can be nonverbal. But yes, it definitely helps when you speak it out loud.
All right, very good.
Yeah, if I guess, as we're connecting with a client, if I'm connecting to my little kid right now, yes, I could do it non-verbally, or I could do it verbally. If I'm doing it right now with my own little, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, it could be either way.
All right, terrific. I'm just going to go over a few things. There's been a few questions here for me regarding some of this, so I'll go over a few things, and then we're going to give Rob if there's anything in addition that you'd like to add, that would be terrific. Now, for those of you who are therapists, I know there are lay people here as well as craniosacral therapists, manual therapists. The series, it's for all manual therapists. So if you are interested in the PEDS course, this is the schedule that we have for PEDS 1. Now, it does require that you've taken somato-emotional release 1 with the Upledger Institute, which is the 3rd level of craniosacral therapy. So you would have to go, or you would be going through cranial 1, cranial 2, and then somato-emotional release 1. That gives you the prerequisite for the PEDS 1. This is the dates for this year. So feel free to take a peek at that. I am not going to call all of those dates out, but I'll give you a minute to look that over. And again, here's my email one more time for you. I'm always happy to help. Brain is Born. If you'd like to get started reading, want to get toward the work, this is reading you'll want to do if you're going to take the PEDS course. Again, email me if you'd like to order the book. It's by Dr. John Upledger. Now, something that I had some questions about in the chat. We're so excited. For those of you who don't know, the Beyond the Dura, every 4 years, the Upledger Institute has our Research and Exploration Conference. It's Beyond the Dura. 2023, we were very excited about our keynote speakers. It's amazing lineup. The lineup of speakers is terrific. It's going to pertain to all manual therapists. Even lay people are free to join too. The things covered. It's going to be 2 days. It's virtual this time around. So I think we're really excited about that because it's giving a lot of people an opportunity to get this information who wouldn't have. Dr. Stephen Porges is going to be presenting polyvagal theory and manual therapy. Dr. Gerald Pollack is going to present the fourth phase of water and manual therapy. Those are our keynote speakers. But again, we have an amazing lineup of speakers. I'm going to put this in the chat one more time. It is the link for the speaker list. So if you're not signed up for Beyond the Dura, please let me know. We're, again, really excited about it. Important point, if you're not able to join us live on the 22nd and 23rd, if you register for the Beyond the Dura, you do not have to be there live. You will receive a recording. So take advantage of that. And if you have any questions with that about that regarding that, please let me know. Upcoming In Touch segments here. We have one in February and March 21st. February, deconstructing chronic low back pain with upledger craniosacral therapy with Catherine Whalen. And then Ehlers-Danlos syndromes, the most common connective tissue disorder you've never heard of, with Elios Stager. That's March 21st. We try to have them on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, if you were to register in the future and you're not able to attend, this is always streamed to the Facebook. So you can always attend the segments later on Facebook, or our team, as long as you register, will send you an email with the link as well. So please continue to check your email and our website for upcoming In Touch events. And one last thing, if you are on Facebook, if you like the page, it's a good way to stay current. We're posting on current events with manual therapy across the whole industry, not just craniosacral therapy. So definitely a good page resource for you for manual therapy news. With that, I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to ask Rob. Rob, do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to add? I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you in.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out today, listening to the presentation, sharing bringing your inner kid out with us. Yelling, dancing, having fun. Yeah, I signed up for Beyond the Dura. I'll be there. So I'll be in one of the little boxes. So I'll be able to wave hi to all of you guys there. Great presenters. What a lineup. I know I mentioned Carol in her presentation, but a lot of our instructors, advanced instructors, are doing some great research, and that's all going to be at the conference. So and it's virtual. So you can sit in your comfy couch and do it from home. So yeah, I definitely will see you there. But yeah, last words of wisdom, just have fun, give yourself permission to connect with your inner kid, and yeah, just try to play and be silly. So
awesome. Terrific job, Rob. Very, very well done. And there's a lot of really nice comments coming in the chat. Lots of thanks. And we sure appreciate you all for joining us for another segment. We look forward to seeing you in the future. And thank you all very much. I mean, obviously, very, very special thank you to Rob, but thank all of you so much for coming and attending for us to keep doing these fun 1 hour segments. So I've really had a blast. Look forward to seeing everybody hopefully in February. And again, if you need anything, you have both my email and then anything regarding what Rob's covered here. You have Rob's email as well. Cheers, everyone. Take care. Be well. Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
thank you.